What we did was we created enough havoc in Pakistan for Pakistan Navy to tell its ships, do not leave harbour. Karachi Harbour was ablaze, the oil tanks were ablaze, a Pakistani destroyer got sunk, Khyber or Shahjahan, a Pakistani minesweeper got sunk, Muhafiz, and a merchant ship got sunk which was carrying weapons for Pakistan from North Korea.
What is the depth charge?
In the late 60s, we acquired a lot of equipment from Russia.
Yes, sir.
We got the Petya class ASW corvettes, we got the Osa class missile boats, we got the Foxtrot class submarines, all of which we used in the 71 war. He saw Indian warships coming in and out, but he didn't want to sink them because he was waiting for Vikrant. Vikrant, along with the Eastern Fleet, bombed the daylights out of Chittagong Harbour and all those harbours. So it literally cut off all the supply lines for Pakistan to supply anything to the Pakistan army. So we had the Navy totally dominated the Bay of Bengal and totally dominated the Arabian Sea. It had what we call full sea control. But it was not the depth charge per se which sank the submarine.
So there are many conspiracy theories around what happened to Ghazi. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Valor Diaries by Deployed. At Valor Diaries, we hear stories of adrenaline, passion and courage from exceptional people who led amazing lives. Today we have the honor of having Commodore Anil Jai Singh with us. Sir has been a veteran of the Indian Navy, a submariner and a strategic voice in the India's maritime ecosystem. Today with Sir, we're going to dive into conversations about stealth, about resilience, about living life under pressure and in Sir's case, even literally. Sir, thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure, Anish. I'm really happy to be amongst you. Thank you very much for inviting me.
So I think it's good that we do not know a lot about stealth. I think it's a good thing that we as individuals, so that means something Navy is doing its job right, that we don't know about what's happening in stealth. But before we get to the good parts, sir, we just wanted to know, how did we end up there? How did it start for you? What was the motivation and inspiration to join the Indian Navy and more so voluntarily opt to become a submariner, sir?
Well, frankly speaking, I'm a landlubber. I belong to North India. But somehow there was something about the sea which always fascinated me. So the first time I saw the sea was when I went on a holiday to Bombay as a little schoolboy. But I think the sea is a very fascinating medium if you really look at it. And it's a sort of subconscious fascination for the medium. If you haven't seen it, you wonder, how did I have a fascination for it? So when I went to the National Defence Academy in Karachi, which is a tri-service academy, we train people for the Army, Navy and the Air Force. And by the way, I'm a fourth generation soldier, so all my father, grandfather and great-grandfather were all army people. I'm the black sheep.
All army people.
I'm the black sheep in the family.
So was there a thing on the dining table?
Fortunately not. But certainly yes. Yeah. So I chose to join the Navy. Yeah. And it's been a fascinating journey ever since. Of course, when I went on my first visit to a submarine was, we were cadets on board the training ship INS Mysore, which was one of the old cruisers, World War II cruisers at that time. And we were taken for a visit on board.
At that point, you had not opted to become a submariner?
No, you opt later. I'll tell you how you go about it. So we went on board and there was those days we used to have what was called the Foxtrot class submarines, the older ones. They were like a long, narrow cigar shaped cylinder. And we went inside and it was hot. The air conditioning is not very effective in harbour because the hatches are open. So, the external air is there and it's Mumbai is very humid.
Yes.
And frankly speaking, it was very exciting to go on board. But a lot of people who came out, my contemporaries, my batchmates said, gosh, we'll never join this. That was the first reaction.
Which year was this, sir?
This was 1980.
1980, okay.
Yeah. We were in Mumbai at that time. So that was how I joined the Navy. Now in the Navy, there are three arms that you volunteer for. You cannot be forced to join. One, of course, is submarine arm.
Okay, sir.
The other is aviation.
Okay, sir.
And the third is diving. The diving branch of the Marcos, the commandos.
Okay, of course.
And so in my batch, I was the first one to volunteer to join the submarine arm. Wow. I was still a midshipman. I hadn't got commissioned as a sub-lieutenant, but I chose to volunteer for the submarine arm. And it's been a fascinating journey ever since. And I think, what you said, what made me volunteer for it? I think, when you see a submarine leaving harbour or entering harbour, once it's dived, of course, you don't see it. There's something about that platform, it's sleek, it's black, it's not making a sound.
Yes,
and it's just sort of gliding out of harbour, low, just above the waterline, and you're sitting on these big cruisers and big ships and watching this little black thing just slip past. And you say, wow, this is something different. And this is something I would like to do. And so that was the sort of genesis of why I volunteered for the submarine arm. And it's been a fabulous journey ever since.
Sir, so like life at sea is very, very different from a person leading a life on shore. So would you want to just tell us a bit about how life is at sea? First, for a normal sailor, then we would come to a submariner, sir.
So you see, life at sea is of two kinds. One, of course, are people who join the merchant navy. People who join the merchant navy are on these large merchant ships, and their job is to go from one port to another port with cargo, unload, load, go to another port with cargo. So they spend a lot of time at sea, most of it transiting from one place to another, on nice big ships with spacious cabins and all the other bells and whistles that go with it. Warships are very different.
Yes, sir.
Warships go out with a mission. Warships just don't go out to sea for the sake of going out to sea. So from the time you leave harbour, and sea time is precious because when ships are at sea, they're expending engine hours, they're expending ammunition, they're expending so many things. So you want to sort of make sure that whatever time you spend at sea
Yes,
is very intense. And so at sea, we are constantly exercising with each other. So there'll be exercises through the day. At night, there'll be an anti-submarine warfare exercise. You'll be replenishing ships. You'll be taking fuel. You do the complete gamut of activities that you would probably have to do when you go to war.
So
And you keep doing it repeatedly so that when the time actually comes, it comes instinctively to you.
Correct.
You don't have to think, now what do I do next? Or have to look up a book and say, what do I do next? It just comes instinctively because you've done it so many times that it becomes second nature.
can you just walk us through one of your typical days from morning to evening, sir? Just like a
In a submarine, let's say.
in a submarine, let's say.
Okay,
Yes.
because I really haven't served
Yes,
too much
sir.
on ships.
Yes,
I've
yes, sir.
commanded a ship, but I haven't
course.
served for too long on ships. Okay, let me take a normal day. In peacetime,
Yes.
what would a submarine be doing? So submarines go out to sea for two or three kinds of missions. One, it goes for an independent mission,
Got it.
where it may be on an operational patrol deployed somewhere. The other, it goes out with the fleet when the fleet goes out and exercises with fleet ships. They do anti-submarine exercises, we do anti-surface exercises with them, penetrating the aircraft carrier, trying to get the big ships, things like that. That goes
Yes,
on all the time.
Yes, sir.
And you keep refining your procedures as you go along. So firstly, a submarine never sleeps. It's 24/7 at sea, you're awake. The crew is divided into three watches. We call them three watches.
Okay.
So the ship's company or the ship's crew is divided into three groups. So one comes on watch and two are off watch at any given time. So 1/3 of the crew is always manning the submarine, manning what are called command posts in the submarine. In normal peacetime routine activities.
And what would be these major command posts, sir?
They're all in the submarine, depending
Okay.
on, there'll be somebody with the torpedoes, there'll be somebody
Okay, sir.
monitoring the batteries, there'll be somebody in the control room, there'll be somebody on the engines, there'll be somebody on the motor. Everywhere you need a watch, what we call a watchkeeper, who's supposed to be seeing that nothing goes wrong
Got it, sir.
and do whatever he's supposed to do. So that way the submarine is divided into three watches. So 1/3 of the ship's company is always on duty.
Always on watch.
And these go off and the other guys come back. So you get 2 watches a day. That means 6 hours a day. 24 hours
Got it.
divided by
4.
3. 3 into 3.
Okay.
3-hour
3
watches.
okay, got it.
On ships, we do 4-hour watches. And submarines,
Got
we do 3-hour watches because they're more strenuous.
Got it.
So you want a guy to remain alert. You don't want a guy to become complacent or
Yes.
sleepy.
Yes.
So it's or tired. So that's the aim. So we generally have, if you take in the morning, we generally have what we call a hands call, which is, hands call is the wake-up call.
Got it.
That's at about 6 o'clock,
6 o'clock in the morning.
5:36.
Okay.
And then, of course, it's hands to breakfast. And also, work really starts at about 8.
How's the breakfast, sir? On board a submarine.
Well, food on a submarine is a bit of a challenge because when you go out for long outings, we have very limited storage space in submarines, as you would understand. So we carry what we call fresh rations for a few
Okay.
days.
Okay.
That's okay. The normal vegetables and your meat and bread and all things
And
like
that would last me like maybe a week?
Maybe a week, 10
Yeah.
days, 12 days, depending on how you sort
Yes.
of do it. After that, whatever time you spend, you're eating tin rations, tin food. And when I say tin food, I don't mean fancy tin food which you get in supermarket. These are tin vegetables, tin keema, tin this, tin that. The other thing, we never eat chapatis. Chapatis are never made on board. We eat
Okay.
only rice.
Only rice?
Because firstly, making chapatis is a huge exercise for so many people. We have a very small galley, a very small
Got it.
kitchen on a submarine.
Got it.
We have only 2 cooks
Okay.
for 60, 70 people on board.
Wow.
So we eat only rice.
So
So
for
after some
breakfast-
time,
for
you're eating
breakfast,
rice
lunch and dinner.
for lunch and dinner. Breakfast will be upma or something like
Okay.
that, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Secondly, you can't fry anything on a submarine because that smell of frying will start pervading the submarine. Submarine is underwater.
Got it.
So we do no frying. We do no. So it's a little better than just boiled rice and boiled dal, and boiled vegetables. That's the sort of food you eat.
Yes.
So once breakfast is over, then you sort of get the ship's company on. So the guys who are on watch will remain on watch, but the others also get back to work. It's not that
course.
they're sleeping.
Okay.
And then you do things like, you do clean ship. Clean ship is, clean up everything, do the maintenance on your equipment, which is very important to do all the time. Maybe if there's an exercise going on, your crew will be involved in doing various things that are related to the exercise with the other ships. Your sonar chaps will be manning it. Your weapons people will be manning their platforms. The radar guy will be manning his stuff. So all that. And then, of course, about 12:30, you have lunch.
Okay.
And then in the afternoon, if there's nothing happening, then you give an hour off to the people to generally relax.
Okay.
Hour and a half.
And
but if there's exercise,
what does that relaxation look
relaxation means they'll go to their bunk. The guys who are not on watch will go to their bunk. They can chit chat, read a book, whatever they want to do. It's recreational, basically.
like? Got it.
Or anything else they'd like to do. I mean, it's their time.
There is no access to network, right? For recreation?
No, out of question.
Out of question.
Got it.
Got it.
So that goes on. So about 3 o'clock, let's say, of course, if an exercise is going on, then everyone's involved in the exercise. Then there's no question of resting. And then about 3:30 again, you sort of close up people, give them a cup of tea. And then you start doing, either you're doing exercises. If you're not doing exercises, then you start training your own crew. The commanding officer is constantly training his crew, either to carry out weapon firing on targets or drills and emergencies on board. Because you see, a submarine is not like a warship which is going to war and then is going to be tested. A submarine is practically at war all the time. An emergency can happen anytime underwater.
It's always on mission.
Inherently, it's a dangerous platform.
Of course.
So you have to be very careful that everything is properly checked for safety, for all your safety things, and your crew is very well trained to handle any emergency that might come. You may have a fire, you may have a flooding. Underwater, if it happens, you lose power. If you lose power, you go down like a stone, preventing the submarine from sinking. So all these things you have to sort of keep training your people. Like I said, the reactions from the crew have to be instinctive. There's no time to look up something to react. So if you keep practicing it, it comes to you naturally. So that's what we do. And then, of course, 6:37 is early dinner. And then you're back to that routine of 1 and 3. So it's a pretty strenuous, it seems like it's relaxed, but it's not.
No, sir. Of course.
And the crew can get really tired because sleep is at a premium always. Because even when you're free, you have a watch coming up. You either come off watch or you're going to go on watch soon, within 2 or 3 hours.
Got it.
So it's a pretty strenuous thing. And when you're at sea for 15 days, 20 days, 25 days, 30 days, without coming to surface, you're dived all the time, you don't show off, you don't see sunlight, you don't see anything. It can get a bit strenuous.
Does it take a toll on your health, sir? Because being at that level of pressure, so is there any pressurization maintenance?
No, we equalize pressure inside. It's like an aircraft.
Like in aircraft, we maintain a cabin altitude of 7,000, 8,000 feet.
So so whatever we equalize the pressure, it's like being in this room.
Okay, so you equalize the pressure based on surface.
Yeah. So it's like being in this room. Unless, of course, there's a requirement to either pressurize the compartment. In damage control, you want to keep water out. Suppose you had a flooding and water's coming in. So you will try and pressurize your compartment to more than whatever the outside pressure might be. So then the water won't come in, you see. If there's more pressure inside,
of course, so the water won't come in.
But that happens and that will be a very rare occurrence. You don't have flooding and all happening all the time.
So did you have any emergencies during your...
They keep happening. There's nothing, emergencies happen, you tackle them and you sort of get...
Any anecdote you want to share with us which was very, very critical and that it still... gives you chills at times, sir?
Yeah, 1 or 2 incidents have happened. There was a time when I went to sea and we had a lot of other officers for training also with us. And I was sort of putting them through the paces. And we were carrying out a dive. And this officer kept saying the submarine is not diving for some reason. And, I was the captain that time. I was sitting there and I was wondering why it's not diving. And so I kept asking him, check this. He said, check that. Not diving. On a sixth sense, I got up in between from my chair and I said, let me have a look. And I discovered that our depth gauge was not working.
And the submarine was diving?
Submarine was diving, but the depth gauge was not working. So it was still showing that same depth of 7 meters or 8 meters.
Did you not feel anything when the submarine...
Not in the submarine diving. You're already at an angle.
Okay.
So what happens sometimes is because of the buoyancy being very different, you may be at an angle, but you may physically not be going down if your boat is light.
Okay.
So you can create an angle, but you're actually going like this. Because density of water is more.
Yes.
So you're not actually being able to break through the... So I thought that must have been happening, but actually we were going down. And then when we really got the depth gauge going, which was almost immediately, the moment we realized this, we hardly had any water below our keel. Another 30-40 seconds and I'd have hit bottom.
Oh my God.
But again, this training came into handy. I gave orders, the crew responded immediately. We were able to pull out from that.
And so what was...
And this is that instinctive thing.
So these...
But that was something that really, sort of made one sit and think.
So the exposure that we've had to submarines is through movies, is through some animated videos maybe, or some... how would an order look like that flows from the captain? So that looks very interesting of captain shouting.
Sorry, how would it?
How does it... like a captain dictating orders sounds very fancy. Like when a captain dictates or commands, So, any particular kind of orders which you generally said, which people really, which you think resonated most with the?
See, a captain's word on board any ship or submarine
Yes.
is law.
Correct.
You know, there's a person, there's an author called Joseph Conrad, whom you may have heard of. He's written a very nice thing about what the commanding officer of a ship means to a ship.
Yes, sir.
About full responsibility being the commanding officer. He has no one to look over his shoulder at. It's his this thing. You know how he ends it? That paragraph ends by him saying, he is the captain. He is the ship.
Wow.
So the Navy, we always say that once you take over as the commanding officer, the captain, slowly the ship sort of reflects your personality. The people respond in that manner.
Wow.
You know, so it's a very sort of, command at sea is a very absolute thing.
Correct.
You have no, ships still, you know, there are 5 or 6 ships around, there's a fleet commander. A submarine underwater, the commanding officer is the last word.
Correct.
He has no one he can look over his shoulder and say, what do I do now?
Correct. Yes.
It's his decision, good, bad, correct.
Yes.
It could take the submarine down, it could do many things. So it's a very feeling of, you know, it's very difficult to describe the feeling, but that, I think that sense of responsibility, that everything depends on me. My crew will say whatever I say, even if I'm wrong, they will follow it. Nobody's going to turn around and say, sir, you're wrong and I'm not going to do it. They will do it. So you've got that added responsibility. And you know, the submarine being a very closed environment, you're with your crew 24 hours of the day for days on end.
Yes.
You can't hide behind your rank.
Correct.
Your weaknesses will get exposed in 24 hours.
Yes.
Because notwithstanding a sailor who may be junior to you in rank,
Yes.
maybe he has more experience on submarining than you have. So he's been in the submarine longer.
Yes.
And he says, look, this guy is okay, but you know, he's not really in command, you know, that sort of thing. So you have to make sure that you're better than the best if you're a commanding officer. And that's why we have something called a commanding officer's qualifying course.
Okay.
Only if you qualify that course can you become the commanding officer of a submarine.
Of a submarine. That's specially designed for a submarine.
Yeah, just submarine. It's called the Submarine Commanding Officer's Qualifying Course. It's one of the toughest courses in the Navy.
To give us a perspective, so how many commanding officers would be there for submarines? Because India has around 5 to 6 submarines, if I'm correct.
No,
sir?
we have 17.
Oh, sorry.
17 plus 2, 19 now.
Okay, sir. So for the 19 submarines, how many commanding officers would
No,
be
it's
there?
not like that. It's not about 19 submarines with so many commanding officers.
Okay, sir.
People command and move on. And a new lot has to come. So it's a constant movement of personnel. So every year, I think I'm not sure how many are coming in now, but in our time, we used to be 6 or 7 who used to qualify every year.
That's it.
That's it, yeah. Because that many submarines, you'll only qualify as many commanding officers as you need for submarines. Wow. But this course, the CO qualifying course, in the Royal Navy, it's called the perisher course.
Perisher
because there's a number of people who perish in this, who fail, are so many that they call it the perisher. And there are no second chances. If you failed, you'll never command a submarine. You can't say that, oh, I'm sorry, I made that mistake, give me one more chance. There are no second chances.
So, and and what are the main skills being tested in this course?
Everything. Your professional skills, your temperament, your ability to react, your ability to command, your knowledge of the submarine as a platform, just about everything. It's a very intense course, and you're being judged by very senior commanding officers who are there with you, who are sort of sitting there and watching every action that you're taking. So it's a very interesting course. But I think it is very important because, like I said, in a submarine which is underwater, the commanding officer is the last word. So there's nobody else. The buck stops at him in a way.
So in terms of leadership, sir, just wanted to dive into the role of a commanding officer or a captain in Navy in a little bit of a detailed manner. So whenever we read the history of Navy, we see that the captain has always been considered as a very, very, I wouldn't say a godly figure, but a very, very person whose word is the last command. And that is, while it is applicable for everything, for defense, army, aviation, Navy, even civil in cases of, I think captain's word is the last word. But in Navy, the captains generally come up with a lot of wisdom. Maybe is it because of the time that they're spending in solidarity? Is it because the captain is the judge? Captains used to be the judge, the jury, and the executioner in the old Navy days. And so, how does the sea give us more wisdom? Like, how does the life at sea makes a person introspect? Makes a person, like, I would like to assume that the amount of wisdom that you would have had today, spending like so many hours in deep sea, just with your own thoughts, leading a team with such a high risk. So the mindset has to be different. The thought process and the way we look at life has to be different. How does the mindset differ for a person like you and a person like me? Or or any other person, sir? I hope was I able to communicate.
Yeah, you have. But frankly speaking, it's not that we are something special. It's just the environment has shaped us into what we've become.
Yes, sir.
It's not about us being something extraordinary, just that we were able to command a ship. The environment, the training, the kind of people you served under, your role models you saw when you were growing up in service. You said, man, I wish I can be a captain like him,
Yes, sir.
Will I even be half the captain he is?
Yes,
That sort of a thing. Your day-to-day interaction with your men, the knowledge of that platform, the knowledge of the sea, all these factors, I think, shape the personality of a person who goes to sea. And captain, the commanding officer, is obviously he's come through a lot of time at sea.
Yes.
He's come through with a lot of experience at sea.
Yes.
He's been through the entire grind.
Yes.
He's been a junior officer, he's been a mid-ranking officer, he's been a specialist, he's been the second in command, and then he's got command. So
Yes, sir.
he's gone through the complete run,
Yes, sir.
And so obviously it is inevitable that he will be perhaps, he'll not only have the knowledge,
Yes, sir.
but he will also have that little bit of wisdom, that little bit of maturity to be able to respond in a particular manner.
Correct. Got it, sir.
Also, I think every commanding officer in the Navy understands the responsibility of being a commanding officer when he goes to command. The Navy is not necessarily every commanding officer is a senior captain.
Correct.
Small ships are commanded by young lieutenants.
Yes, sir.
But even they operate like commanding officers. They don't
Correct.
operate like a junior officer trying to say that, okay, I've just got 5 years service, I'll run the ship.
Yes, sir.
When he takes over command, he takes over command. He's treated like a commanding officer. It's not that. So small things like a conference, let's say.
Yes, sir.
It won't say commanders and above have to attend. It will say all commanding officers have to attend, let's say. So even the junior most commanding officer, senior most commanding officer, everyone's there. So he's also watching and seeing the senior commanding officers, how are they reacting to situations, what are the sort of discussions that are happening. He's learning on the job. So I think that's a great experience of our day-to-day sort of existence on board.
Any captains, sir, that you worked with or you've read about that you inspire and you look up to?
Many. In fact, often, your own juniors will tell you, sir, we used to look up to you when
Yes,
you were
sir.
a captain.
Yes, sir.
And I always tell them that I was lucky to have looked up to the best.
Okay, sir.
I learned from the best. I had some outstanding, I always say that.
So would you like to
I have
name
had
them?
some of them, I have had outstanding commanding officers I worked under. They were tough guys, they were tough to work with, they were hard taskmasters, but they were good human beings, they were fair, they were just. I think these are the 3 qualities that are important. And nobody will mind working for a man who expects professional competence of a certain degree,
Got it, sir.
but is a good human being, is just and fair,
Wow.
and is not willing to compromise on the professionalism of his submarine or ship. So I won't name any because there are so many of them.
No, it's fine, sir. That's
I don't want to miss out anybody. That will be a
yes,
problem.
yes. So Navy, we've always heard a lot of superstitions and ghost stories and crazy things surrounding Navy. So anything that you would like to share with us, sir?
Well, there is a lot of folklore that surrounds not navies, but the maritime, the
Yes,
nautical
sir.
world.
Nautical world.
And we've all grown up on stories of Bluebeard the pirate, and,
Yes.
things like that, and making people walk the plank,
Yes,
and
yes,
hung, drawn, and quartered is a term that has come from the
Yes, sir.
Navy. Or you've heard of people being sent to the crow's nest as punishment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Those are actually happened. It's not. These are not.
So people, but were they only pirates who used to make people jump off the ships, or was it also followed by, let's say, the Royal Navy or
the Royal Navy's origin lies in piracy. By the way,
Is it, sir?
Yeah. If you look up the history of the Royal Navy,
Yes, sir.
the original Royal Navy was piracy, basically buccaneers at sea, and then they of course got institutionalized and became a navy. So navies are very similar. I mean, navies. No, I wouldn't say that. What I would say is that naval traditions
Yes, sir.
are very similar worldwide.
Got it.
Because the sea is the common medium.
C is the common medium.
And you will realize that when a mariner meets another mariner, from whichever part of the world he may be, there's an instant bonding.
Got it.
It doesn't matter, whether you can speak that language or not speak that language, but there's an instant bonding that, I'm a sailor, you're a sailor kind of a thing.
Wow.
So the sea is a great sort of binding force.
Wow.
And there's something distinct about, I suppose, being a person who goes to sea. Now, of course, things are not, because now ships have become very mechanized.
It's very modern today, but
but in the good old days, the guy who came off, after sailing for many months, had to be a tough guy to be able to do that.
Yes, sir.
And so, Navy, we've had lots of traditions, yes. Indian Navy has its own traditions, lots of them.
Any particular traditions that you would...
For example, we've got the good traditions, I'll tell you.
Yes, sir.
One is, any lady who goes on board a ship
Yes, sir.
is saluted.
Wow.
It doesn't matter who you are. You could be a civilian. If I take my niece also tomorrow on board, she'll be
sir.
saluted. Any lady crossing the gangway. So that's a very nice tradition.
Wow.
It's a mark of respect to a lady.
Wow.
Unlike what you hear about sailors being, with girls and this and that. But these are small things,
there's a charm
but they
to
make
that
a
as well.
difference. Yeah. Wardrooms, for example, the commanding officer of a ship is not, the wardroom is the officer's mess. The officer's mess on a ship is called a wardroom, where the officers dine.
Got it, sir.
The commanding officer of a ship is never a part of the wardroom. He's the commanding officer.
Okay.
So he has to be invited to a wardroom.
Okay.
So his officers will invite him for a drink or dinner.
Wow.
He can't just walk into the wardroom.
I believe this is
Even though he's the captain of the ship.
Is this also followed in Merchant Navy, or this is...
I don't know if they followed in the Merchant Navy, because Merchant Navy has changed also a lot over the years.
Yes, sir.
But Indian Navy, definitely they do that. So the commanding officer has his own cabin, he has his own dining area, he has everything of his own. Officers dine separately. And even at sea, we are still so formal that if I want two officers to come and dine with me,
Yes,
I
sir.
will actually send him an invitation card saying
Wow.
that the commanding officer requests the pleasure of your company at dinner today. Just to maintain that thing. It's important to maintain it, because these are long-standing traditions,
Got it,
and
sir.
it's very easy to forget them in one generation.
Got it, sir.
If I was just to pick up an intercom and say, hey, listen, why don't you come to my cabin for dinner? That tradition's gone,
The tradition is gone.
So we must maintain these. I think it's very important, because they give you a sense of identity, that, I'm doing something which everybody doesn't do. And so this is associated with my career in the Navy. Like we were told by a very senior officer when we were young officers. What he was trying to tell us was that the Navy is a way of life. And the example he gave was very nice. So he said, when people ask you, what do you do? You'll probably say, I work for a bank, I work for Aero Armor. But you never say, I work for the Navy. You say, I am in the Navy.
I'm in the Navy.
And similarly, your wife will also say that. We are in the Navy.
We're in the
Or
Navy.
we are from the Navy.
Wow.
So it's a cultural thing. It's a way of life. It's a way of life for the officer. It's a way of life for the family. Our kids grew up in that environment. We have a very strong bonding with each other. So if a ship has sailed out, with the commanding officer or any of the officers are not worried that his wife will not be taken care of back home.
Wow.
If the child falls ill, there are other people who will help you take the child to hospital, be there with them. So you're never concerned that, my wife is all by herself, my kids are all by themselves. That never happens. So that is a sort of close interaction that we have with each other. And that is what I think is the ethos of the Indian Armed Forces. It's not only true for the Navy, it's true for all the other services as well.
Sir, technology has evolved tremendously in the past 5 to 6 decades. I remember in the early 1960s to 70s, aviation used to use astronomical navigation, where we used to look at the little stars and we used to plot our ways, and that's what ships also did. How did submarines navigate, sir? Because they didn't have access to either the sky. How did navigation work back then? How does navigation work today, sir, for a submarine?
Okay, so now, of course, now navigation has reached a stage where you can get a GPS fix
Exactly, sir.
instantly. I mean, it's there all the time.
Yes, sir.
You're plotting your position based on GPS.
Yes, sir.
But even when we grew up in the Navy, when we were midshipmen and cadets in 1980, in the late 70s, early 80s, we also did a lot of our navigation by the stars.
Correct, sir.
We used to have sextants.
Yes, sir.
The
Sextant.
sun and the stars we used to use to navigate.
Yes, sir.
And it was very important to learn how to do that, because even if you had a GPS on board,
Correct.
suppose it packed up, you couldn't say that, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know how to take a fix. I don't know where I am because my GPS is not working.
Correct.
So those days we used to have a satellite navigation system,
Okay.
which used to give a fix once in 4 or 5 hours, a position.
And that
So you
position used to be
waited
coordinates?
so you waited very eagerly for when is the position coming. So we continue to do our astronavigation. This is on ships I'm talking about.
Okay.
Where you're in the open all the
Of
time.
course.
Submarines operate on what we call dead reckoning, DR.
Dead reckoning.
Right?
Oh, God. Yes, sir.
Which means that you have to go from point A to point B. This is the speed you're going at. This is the distance you have to travel. So at so and so time, you should be at point B.
But how would you
But you
account
don't
for
know whether you
currents?
will be at point B
Because
or
of
not.
currents?
Right? So again, periodically in those days, submarines would come up and take a sat-nav fix.
Okay.
But come up means they didn't surface. They just raised a mast.
Okay.
The mast had an antenna on it.
Okay.
And that got a fix. So you had to know what time is that fix going to happen. You're going to come in. A submarine's basic USP is stealth.
Got it.
If it's going to be exposed to the surface, then there's no point being in a submarine.
Of course.
So you had to calculate and say, okay, the fix is going to come at the fixed position of the ship is going to be available at so-and-so time. So you came up just a couple of minutes before that, waited for it to come and dived immediately after that. That's how we did it. Otherwise, it was dead reckoning. If you were in the middle of an exercise area, you can't come up because there's ships all around. And, when you're exercising, they are the enemy and they're our enemy and we are their enemy.
So, but for dead reckoning for us, we used to have landmarks. But what would be the landmarks, just to verify?
No, you don't have
that-
landmarks. We just used to plot position point A to point B.
And there's no way to verify.
Lat and long, that's all. Latitude and longitude.
But along the route, let's say.
No.
There's no way to verify it.
Then, of course, things like inertial navigation systems came in.
No, so those
which
things I'm
kept
sure, yes,
correcting,
yes,
and
yes, yes,
which
yes,
keeps
yes.
correcting up to a certain accuracy.
Correct.
But the good old days was plain and simple DR, and if there was no satellite navigation system, then it was again sun and the stars.
But
You
what?
came up, you took a fix, and you went down, and then you kept plotting it and seeing where you were.
And sir, how much role does the current play in that level of depth? Like, does it push you around a lot?
Oh yes, sometimes it does, particularly in the monsoons when
Yes,
the
sir.
sea is choppy. It can drift. You can drift quite a bit.
Even at
But
those depths?
over a period, so that's why it's very important to understand the oceans around you.
Got it.
It helps you in your operations, particularly in submarines.
Got it.
And that is why you have so many Chinese research vessels coming to the Indian Ocean. Because they are mapping the Indian Ocean for when their submarines will come and operate here, they should be able to tell the submarine, this is what you should expect in the Bay of Bengal, or this is what you should expect in the Arabian
Wow.
Sea. It's very important. Otherwise, obviously the home navy has an advantage. I know what is the best depth to operate at. I know what are the sort of tides and currents in September, let's
Yes,
say.
sir.
I know what is it going to be in December because I'm operating there.
Yes, sir.
But for a navy which is going to come from outside, they need to have that information. So all these Chinese research vessels that you keep hearing about who come and operate in the Indian Ocean and they send their underwater gliders, they're doing this, they're mapping the underwater. They're mapping the hydrography because they will prepare all this so that when their submarines come, when China is going to be a big presence in the Indian Ocean another decade from now. So when their submarines come and start operating, they should be familiar with the Indian Ocean. So the ocean for a submarine is extremely important, what we call the hydrology. So, underwater, the only means of propagation of anything is sound.
Correct.
You don't have electromagnetic waves.
Correct.
There's no radar.
Correct.
You have sonar.
Sonar.
Sonar is basically sound,
Yes, sir.
right? Unlike the electromagnetic spectrum where, there's no change on a day-to-day basis in the atmosphere.
Correct.
If you're getting 50 miles range today, you'll get 50 miles
Correct.
tomorrow. You may get 49 miles, you may
Correct.
get 51 miles. That's all the difference. Unless it's raining very heavily or there's some other interference. Underwater, the hydrology in the same area can change by the hour.
Oh my God.
Because the three things which affect the propagation of sound waves underwater are pressure, salinity, and temperature. Okay. So pressure is okay. Pressure, 40 meters will be 4 bar and 50 meters will be 5 bar. So there's not much difference in pressure. Salinity can vary considerably depending on if it's rained a lot. You'll suddenly find the salinity will go down because so much fresh water has come into that area of operation because the rain squalls the whole night. Things like that. But that also is not the major determining factor. It's the temperature of water which is a major factor. That changes. Through the day it changes. And so and that is what makes your sound wave either go down, refract downwards or reflect upwards depending on the layer of the temperature. So you have to keep monitoring that throughout the day to see which is the best depth for me if I want to avoid the ships. What is the best depth for me to operate if I want to go in for attack? So you have to keep calculating that through the day and deciding where you want to be depending on what mission you've been sent for and what are going to be your next actions.
Got it.
So that's how it is. Navigation is still a challenge. Inertial navigation has helped in a big way, but underwater navigation is and will remain a challenge, obviously, because you can't expose yourself.
And what would be the highest speed a submarine can operate at?
That is a very difficult question to answer because submarines are not meant to be moving at fast speeds.
Correct.
Submarines are meant to go to an area, lurk over there, wait for the enemy to come, and then go in for attack.
Correct.
Or shadow a fleet or something.
Yes.
So conventional submarines, so there are three kinds of submarines, or basically two kinds of submarine propulsion.
Okay.
One is nuclear submarine propulsion, and one is conventional submarine propulsion, which is diesel electric.
Got it.
Diesel electric basically you have diesel generators. They charge your batteries.
Got it.
Batteries run the motor. The motor propels the submarine.
Okay.
So the battery power keeps coming down as it's moving, as the submarine is moving, and you keep charging with your diesels. So if you do high speeds, the battery will discharge that much faster. If you do low speed, it will discharge that much slower. So the commanding officer has to balance his tactical requirement as to what is his mission, when will he actually need that battery power, and so how should he then operate?
Okay.
What speeds he should do, what depth he should maintain, etc. Nuclear submarines have an advantage that there's no question of this thing, it's nuclear power. So they can do, there's no limitation on batteries, there's no limitation on power, it's there all the time.
Yes.
So they can do high speeds. And that is why we have what are called nuclear attack submarines. All big navies have nuclear attack
And high
submarines.
speeds look at what, like in terms of
High
knots?
speeds, the nuclear submarines can
Yes,
do
sir.
25 knots.
25 knots. Okay.
Yeah. So they can keep pace with the fastest ships, warships. That's the kind of speed they do.
So India, geographically, is in a very unique position. I think India is not a country which can just rely on a strong army or just a strong air force or just a strong navy. Or it has to have three things because of the surrounding that we are in, with an enemy on the west, an enemy on the east, and now even our arm, Bangladesh, even is going kind of against us. How do you see this scenario playing out, how difficult and how important is it for India to have a robust defense budget to service its three arms?
I think you've raised a very valid question. It is extremely important that we give security the importance that it deserves. We are the only country in the world which has two nuclear neighbors, a northern neighbor and a western neighbor. And both of them have a nexus between them.
Correct.
Both of them are constantly sniping at our heels. That means we have to be constantly alert as to what they're up to. And we share long land borders with them, with both
Yes,
of
sir.
them. Which with China we have a 4,000 kilometer LAC. With Pakistan we've got the LC, we've got the international border, we've got a whole this thing. So that is the continental part of it, the land part of it.
Yes, sir.
So we have to give it due time. And the other aspect is that we have all kinds of terrain we are operating in.
Yes, sir.
So our army has to be structured to be able to operate in every kind of terrain.
Correct.
We have deserts where our army is operating in. They're operating in swamps. They're
Yes,
operating in thick jungles.
Yes, sir.
They're operating in mountains.
Yes, sir.
Right up to CHN at 21,000 feet. They're operating along that LAC with very inhospitable terrain in Leh and Ladakh through very bitter winters where temperatures touch minus 40 and minus 50. So, the army is always under a lot of strain. And I think it's very important that the army gets the right kind of equipment, because whatever equipment an army fights with must be optimized for the environment it is going to fight in. You can't tell a guy, why don't you take this, okay, the war is happening there in the mountains, let's take this desert stuff and take it there. It will not be up to the mark. So obviously we have to pay a lot of attention to how we equip our army. Similarly, the Air Force. The Air Force is very clear about what its role is. It says we need so many aircraft to meet this role.
Yes, sir.
They should be provided that aircraft.
Correct.
And it's not only about providing the aircraft, providing them the right aircraft, which meets the requirement. I know we are all talking of Make in India and Atmanirbharta, which is also extremely important for a country like India. If you want to play in the big league, you cannot be strategically dependent on anybody else for anything.
Correct.
We have had two bad experiences, in a way. Once when the Soviet Union broke up,
Yes, sir.
the complete defense edifice there collapsed.
Yes, sir.
70%, 80% of our equipment was Russian/Soviet at that time. Suddenly we found we had no spares, because there was no industry in Russia which was making spares. They had actually collapsed. I was an XO for Submarine at that time, and we know what a challenge it was even to go to sea, because spares were just running out. If something had to be changed, there was no replacements coming in. It took almost 8 or 9 years for the Russians to get their act together again, and things picked up. That's the first time we realized how important it is to start indigenizing. And that is how indigenization first started, in a way. In Navy was doing indigenization much before. I'll come to the Navy. That's why I haven't spoken about the Navy yet. The second time was when we did the nuclear blast of 1998, when we went nuclear.
Yes, sir.
In May 1998. The whole Western world sanctioned us.
Yes, sir.
We suddenly stopped getting everything from the West.
Correct.
Our helicopters were down. US stopped giving us anything. Other than France, every other country followed the US
Yes, sir.
in sanctioning us. So that 6-7 year period also was a tough time for us, which was a second wake-up call, that we have to do things ourselves. We cannot be dependent on others. And that's why this whole indigenization, Make in India, Atmanirbharta, self-reliance have become so important. But if you want, firstly, defense equipment doesn't happen overnight.
Yes, sir.
You have to develop technologies. That technology needs to be converted into a product. That product has to be proven, and only after it's proven can it be given to the armed forces
Yes, sir.
for deployment.
Correct.
It can be given to armed forces for trials, but to be combat ready, it has to be proven equipment. This takes time.
Yes, sir.
It takes money. So you've got to have a long-term perspective plan. So if you want, let's say, a nuclear submarine in 2035, you can't say, I need it in 2035, it's still 10 years away. If you start building it in 25, then you'll get it in 35. It's defense equipment. It takes time. And that too, if you have to do it yourself, because then you have to find the technology. You have to develop the technology yourself. So it is very important that our armed forces are equipped with what they need. The Navy, now I'll come to the Navy. I told you about the Army and the Air Force. The Air Force chief has recently said that he doesn't have enough aircraft.
Yes.
It's a fact.
Yes.
The Navy decided to go in for indigenization from the 60s in a very big way.
Okay.
In 1972, we started building small warships earlier, but in 1972, we commissioned INS Nilgiri. That was a sort of watershed mark of naval indigenization, because Nilgiri was a big ship. It was a Leander-class frigate. First time we had built a ship of a frigate size. It was a British design. We had taken the design from the UK and built it in India, in Mazagon Docks, Bombay. We built 6 ships of the same class. after that, between 72 and 1980. But what we did, except Nilgiri and perhaps Himgiri, the second ship, from the third ship onwards, we started modifying the design to suit our requirements.
Okay.
So by the time we reached the fifth ship and the sixth ship, which was Taragiri and Vindhyagiri, instead of putting a small helicopter, which is what the Nilgiri class was actually designed for, we were able to put a much larger helicopter on the ship. Now, larger helicopter means it would carry more weapons, it had more fuel, it could operate for longer, which was a major design modification, which was all done in-house in India. So that is how we built up. The moment we finished the sixth Leander class, we went in for something called the Godavari class, which was an even better version of the Leander class. We had missile launchers on them. They could take 2 helicopters at the back, not 1.
Okay.
So, this evolution of design, evolution of products, the Navy worked very closely with the shipyards and we were able to indigenize to a large extent.
Got it.
So today, when we talk about indigenization, we take 3 parameters. We take float, move and fight
Okay.
as yardsticks for indigenization. So float is basically the hull of the ship,
Got it.
that it can float in water. I think 90% of that is Indian today,
Okay.
including Indian steel.
Okay.
All our ships are being built with Indian-made steel now,
Got
not with foreign steel.
Got it.
So that is really good. Then we have the move element. The move element is things like machinery, motors, engines, diesels, pumps, valves, basically what makes a ship move.
Got it.
In that, I think we would be at about 65 to 70%.
Okay.
Because I know for a fact that all pipes, valves, hatches, doors, pumps are all made in India.
Got it.
Only certain engines and all, particularly when we are talking about gas turbines and all, those come from abroad.
Got it.
But now, just a few days ago, there was news that, we are going to start building our own marine engines. So whenever that happens, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years from now, then that will be a major step forward in indigenization. Then we come to the third element. The third element is called fight. This is the weapons and sensors and all which make it a warship, which make it fight. In that, on sensors, we've achieved a lot in sonars and radars and all. Weapons, we are lagging slightly behind. But I think with the kind of work that's happening, we will sort of keep improving. The issue is that technology is moving so fast that if you do not create the right environment for developing technology, you'll always be behind the curve. When somebody else has reached somewhere else, you will be about 5 years behind.
Got it, sir.
Now, militaries are not meant to go and fight wars. Militaries are meant to go and win wars.
Yes, sir.
There are no runners-up in war. So you can't say, you with this substance, go fight it.
Yes, sir.
He's not going to fight a war. He's going to win the war. That's why he's going to war, to win it.
Yes, sir.
And that's why it's important that you should never compromise combat capability. So even now, we are buying equipment from abroad, as you see. That is not because we are taking the easy way out.
Yes, sir.
That is because we do not, while we are doing our own indigenous development, we do not want to compromise on our combat capability. And that is why it's important that we look at this whole defense build-up and defense equipping accordingly. Now we come to money. I certainly agree with everybody who says that the defense budget is not enough. $74 billion is not enough for a country of India's size and for the kind of military we want to be the kind of power we want.
Yes, sir.
If you're happy being a small little power and saying, I'm very happy, I have a coastal navy,
Yes,
it will protect my turf, fine. That is a call that government has to take.
Yes, sir.
But you can't say, I want to be a superpower, but I can't make an aircraft carrier. I want to be a superpower, but I can't do this.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't work that way. But the problem is, we have a lot of developmental challenges in India.
Yes, sir.
Education, healthcare, infrastructure, you name it, it's a challenge. So how much can really be given to the defense? I would really, if you ask a defense officer, anybody, he'll say we should get 3% of GDP.
Yes, sir.
Now 3% doesn't seem much, it's only 3% of GDP. But in terms of amount, it's quite a bit. At the moment, I think we are at about 2%.
Got it.
Which certainly is not enough. But under the circumstances, we don't have a choice.
So currently with the infrastructure that we have, so situations as we discussed, as you pointed out, it's so difficult because we have 2 nuclear states neighboring us. One, and I didn't know this, we're the only country in the world which have 2 nuclear powers, and both of them
inimical to us.
And both of them have a syndicate. Both of them are against us, and we've had wars with them. We've fought wars with them.
Yes.
And so now, if in today it's a very tense scenario, we are all aware because of what happened in Kashmir. So today, if things are to escalate, this is all hypothetical. This is all a simulation. If today things are to escalate, how we would look things playing out if India declares a war with the ultimatum of POK being surrendered to this is to India. How we would look at that war playing out? So by the Navy, by the primarily from the naval front of view, if we can get your thoughts. What are the options that the Navy would give to the government today?
So if you look at, this is now I'm going to give you my personal opinion. I really
Yes, sir.
don't know what's happening in the corridors of
Yes, sir.
power, what
Yes,
they're
sir.
thinking, whether they're
Yes,
going
sir.
to war, not going to war, I don't know. But to me personally, war is not the solution.
Yes, sir.
We have to play to the gallery also.
Yes,
We
sir.
have promised that we will take some action.
Yes, sir.
So some action will happen. What action happens, we don't know.
Correct.
To what extent it will happen, we don't know.
Correct.
You can take an action, but if you take an action and don't want it to go beyond that,
Yes, sir.
you have to be very sure that you control the escalatory ladder. Because the other guy can escalate. Are you ready for that escalation?
Yes, sir.
That is number one. Which India is a much bigger power. We have asymmetric conventional capabilities. We have more superior. So I suppose we can control the escalatory ladder to a large extent. But you never know.
Yes, sir.
When a country is desperate, he can take any action.
Got it.
When you're that desperate. Secondly, if you decide to go to war, what is your desired end state? Why are you going to war?
Yes,
War is a means. It's not the end.
Correct.
What is your end state?
Correct. Correct.
Why are you going to war? So you should be very clear on that. I'm not going to say what the end state is. That the government has to decide. But whatever the end state be, firstly, you should be very sure you can reach that end state,
Yes, sir.
and not say, okay, let's keep fighting, and eventually we'll fetch up there.
It is possible in the current geopolitical scenario. It has to be something.
So
that
you
is
have to
possible.
have an end state.
Yes, sir.
Dismember the country,
Yes.
take it over. What do you want to do? You have to be clear.
Yes, sir.
That is the second part of it. Any case, nobody fights a war now. War, official declaration of war never happens. It's a skirmish or whatever it is, a confrontation, conflict, but it is not called war.
Correct.
Because war brings with it a lot of other legal and other sort of angles to it. So that is the other option. When you're going to decide to go to war and you plan, you want to hit the enemy's weakest point
Correct.
or his strongest point, whichever it is you want to weaken.
Yes.
What is the center of, we call it the center of gravity. What is the center of gravity you want to sort of get rid of? In Pakistan's case, we've already done at the terrorist level, we've done surgical strike, we've done Balakot, we've done everything. They've still come back and done. We have realized that there is no point taking out 10 terrorists, 20 terrorists. They've got a jihad factory, they'll produce 20 more.
Yes.
So that, of course, is one factor. So that means you have to do something very decisive.
Yes.
Like the Prime Minister, jad se ukhadna hai.
Haji.
That means you have to hit either terror funding or you have to hit the terror wherever the whole thing is emanating from, which in Pakistan's case, I would think would be the Pakistan military headquarters. If the ISI is as actively involved as we assume it is. So again, can you do that or not is $1 million question.
Yes, sir.
Now, of course, the people sitting in Delhi, in South Block know whether they can do it or not. I don't know. What will Navy do? Navy can do many things. Firstly, there's a major asymmetric advantage India has in terms of naval power. We are way, way better than or more powerful than the Pakistan Navy. Pakistan, we have 16 submarines. Pakistan has only 3 or 4. But Navy is not a zero-sum game. It's not submarine versus submarine, ship versus ship. It's what capacity you can bring to bear on the enemy with whatever you have, that decides it. Because what is the Navy's aim? What is the aim Navy will have? Can he thwart that aim or can he not thwart that aim? I would suggest, or I would think that the best way to hit Pakistan is where Pakistan is going to be hurt the most is to choke its economy. Navies can do that extremely well. Because a country like Pakistan, which is totally dependent on foreign trade, because they hardly make anything in their own country. Most of it comes from abroad. For most countries, trade is, over the sea. The very presence of a large Indian fleet in the North Arabian Sea will deter merchant ships from coming near Karachi or Gwadar if they think that something is going to happen. Because these are all foreign flagged ships. They're not Pakistani ships.
Yes, sir.
So they're going to think twice. They don't want to get sunk. Indian Navy doesn't have to announce a blockade. A blockade is announced only when war is declared.
Okay.
So there's no such thing as a blockade these days. What countries declare is what they call exclusion zones.
So if today India
So you send a message saying that, look, things over here are not looking too good.
Yes, sir.
We would suggest that an area bound by this latitude and longitude,
So that would be kind of deterrence.
come at your own risk, kind of a thing.
that
That
would-
is like a deterrence. But what it will do is it will choke Pakistan economically. Because if ships can't come in with stuff, if oil can't come in, Pakistan is not a big country. It doesn't have strategic reserves which can keep it going for 2 months or 3 months. It may be having oil 7 days, 10 days, 15 days. I don't know. But that would be my assumption. If you can prevent 15 days, for 20 days, any oil coming into Pakistan, he'll be on his knees there, economically.
So, and like you think.
So that is one thing navies do. I'm just saying what navies do. Without firing a shot,
Got it.
a navy can bring a country down on its knees. The second thing a navy can do is, of course, a naval war. That it becomes war. Their ships come out, our ships come out, and we destroy the Navy or whatever. We fight a war. We take out Karachi like we did in 71 or whatever we do. We now have far more capability than we had when 71. We've got land attack missiles. We can open a front from the sea on land. Which Pakistan, okay, so they're very vigilant on the borders.
Yes.
But what about the sea? So there are many, many options are there. It all depends on where we want to go on the escalatory ladder. We choose our option then.
So if you said a blockade would choke their economy if India has to do a blockade, and you said that would be a declaration of war.
No. I didn't say that. The word blockade
Yes.
can only be used if war has been officially declared. We do not, these days nobody declares war.
So,
I don't think even the Falklands War was ever declared.
In 1971, did we actually block that trade? Like, did we?
We did. But 1971, we were calling the shots in the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal.
Yes.
The Pakistan Navy had all but disappeared. And even now, we are overwhelmingly superior to the Pakistan Navy. So, the Kargil, we did that. Kargil, we just had a lot of ships milling around over there, which was a message to the world that, this area is, going there is trouble. So we had them economically, we had choked them to quite an extent. Their oil reserves were very low, etc. So that is something the navies can do without firing a shot, by sheer, presence. So navies can play. We can dominate the complete air surveillance. We have the capability. And I don't think any navy will come to the rescue. I don't think any country. These countries don't get involved in wars directly.
Yes.
They may provide support. China may give it intelligence support, may provide it a satellite information, may do all that, targeting information, all that. But it's not going to send Chinese warships to go and fight their war. That's not going to happen.
For that, someone has to have something like a NATO, like an alliance like a NATO, wherein someone
that's
sends
right.
their...
That's right.
So coming to the 1971, so we were aware about Operation Python, Operation Trident, then what happened up here at the East Coast. So if you would like to summarize these three operations for our viewers, what happened in 1971, sir?
I think 71 was the coming of age of the Indian Navy. In 1965, when we went to war with Pakistan, the Navy was hardly used. Despite the naval chief telling the Prime Minister that, my Navy is ready, the Prime Minister at that time didn't want to escalate. He felt if the Navy gets involved, the thing will get escalated beyond the limit he wanted it to. So he told the Navy, no, you guys just take it easy. And we got, Dwarka and Somnath and all were bombed by the Pakistanis. We didn't do anything. So 71, the Navy was really raring to go. Admiral Nanda had told the Navy that, we've got to prove a point this time.
Yes, sir.
We've got to do something extraordinary. And I think Trident, that attack, killer missile boat attack on Karachi, was one of the most audacious acts in the annals of naval warfare anywhere in the world.
Wow.
It's not just an Indian option. We were able to carry out an attack with a ship that the enemy never expected can reach there.
Okay.
Right? So we had these missile boats, which had been, in the late 60s, we acquired a lot of equipment from Russia.
Yes, sir.
We got the Petya class ASW corvettes, we got the Osa class missile boats, we got the Foxtrot class submarines, all of which we used in the 71 war, all of these platforms. So the Osa class missile boats were small little missile boats. They had 4 missiles, but they didn't have range. So, and they were based in Mumbai. So there was no way that they could have made it from Mumbai to Karachi and back.
Yes, sir.
So obviously they were, as far as the PN thought that these ships will never be used.
Got it.
What we did very smartly was, we positioned one out at Okha and we sent 2 out to sea towards Karachi, along with 2 or 3 bigger ships, who refueled them en route.
Okay.
First towed them to a certain point, then refueled them, and then let them loose.
Okay.
On Karachi. And they fired the missiles. And Karachi Harbour was ablaze, the oil tanks were ablaze, Pakistani destroyer got sunk, Khyber or Shahjahan, a Pakistani minesweeper got sunk, Muhafiz, and a merchant ship got sunk which was carrying weapons for Pakistan from North Korea.
Okay.
That also was sunk. So in that space of a few hours in that night, the complete complexion of the naval battle changed. Because suddenly Pakistan didn't have the wherewithal to take this kind of damage. Pakistan, even after this missile attack, could not imagine that these were missiles firing at them. They thought these were aircraft attacks coming in.
Okay.
They started opening up on the firing with anti-aircraft guns.
Okay.
Thinking these are aircraft, they said, no way it can be anything else, which is coming. But these were our missile boats. So the missile boats carried out an attack on that night, turned around and came back.
And Pakistan was unaware what happened to them. They didn't know.
They discovered later that it was missile attacks and all that. But at that point on that night, they were looking for aircraft. They were firing anti-aircraft guns thinking it's an air attack from India. and not a naval attack.
And submarines also had a very crucial role in the 1971.
So this was Trident.
Yes, sir.
Just one operation. Then Python was the second one which was supposed to be launched. That Mysore and all were there, but that nothing much happened that night. What we did was we created enough havoc in Pakistan for Pakistan Navy to tell its ships, do not leave harbour. Its warships were now told, don't leave harbour because, the Indian Navy will decimate you. So we had total control of the North Arabian Sea now. On the east coast, we had the Eastern Fleet, led by Vikrant, the aircraft carrier. Now, Vikrant's story is also very interesting.
Yes, sir.
Vikrant was undergoing a refit. She was not even in good shape.
Okay.
Now, everyone thought that Vikrant would ultimately go to Vizag, Visakhapatnam.
Got it.
So, PNS Ghazi had sailed much before the war started from Karachi, gone around India, which was an American 10th class submarine, which Pakistan Navy had, and had positioned itself off Vizag, waiting for Vikrant to come to sink it.
So I'm interrupting you right here. So we've read that like India found that out because there was some oil which was bought by people.
No, about Ghazi you mean?
Yes, about Ghazi.
No. First, let me tell you what happened to Ghazi. So Ghazi was sent there to sink Vikrant. That when Vikrant enters Vizag, because where else can it go? If it comes to the east coast, it will come to Vizag.
Yes, sir.
Because if she needs repairs or replenishment, she will come to Vizag. So Ghazi was very confident Vikrant will come to Vizag. The Navy smartly never brought Vikrant to Vizag. They kept it in Port Blair. So from what we understand, from what the CEO of Ghazi's logs were recovered, he saw Indian warships coming in and out, but he didn't want to sink them because he was waiting for Vikrant.
Okay.
But of course, then he had some own problems, and anyway, that area was being depth charged.
Yes.
And Ghazi sank.
So what is the depth charge?
Depth charge is like an underwater bomb. So you keep throwing them and they explode. So if they hit the ship, they can damage the submarine, but otherwise they rattle everything inside the submarine.
Got it.
Because of the vibration they create. Ultimately, of course, it's now come out that she had her own internal explosion, and she sank. But the fact was that Ghazi was not able to do any damage because it kept waiting for Vikrant.
So there are many conspiracy theories around what happened to Ghazi.
They're not conspiracy theories. They said, first, of course, we thought it was a depth charge attack which had damaged it, and that's why it sank. But, when divers went down and when equipment was recovered and salvaged, they discovered that it was probably an internal explosion, which may have been caused because of a depth charge attack.
Okay.
But it was not the depth charge per se which sank the submarine. It was an internal explosion in the submarine which sank the submarine.
So the
batteries could have exploded or whatever could have exploded. Vikrant, along with the Eastern Fleet, bombed the daylights out of Chittagong Harbour and all those harbours. So it literally cut off all the supply lines for Pakistan to supply anything to the Pakistan Army. So we had the Navy totally dominated the Bay of Bengal and totally dominated the Arabian Sea. It had what we call full sea control, which was a major thing. Then, of course, you heard of USS Enterprise coming into the 7th Fleet.
Sir.
Despite that threat, Vikrant continued doing what it was doing. So, of course, then the 7th Fleet was diverted away, and there were various reasons for why it came. We won't go into that, it will take time. But the bottom line is that in 71, the Navy operated with great efficiency and covered themselves with glory.
So we don't want to dive into 7th Fleet, sir, but if you can tell us the viewers, if at that point, Soviet Union or Russia hadn't come to our rescue, how would things have changed?
Well, Russia didn't come to our rescue.
Okay.
We signed a treaty with, in August, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi had signed the Treaty of Friendship with Russia, which I think was a masterstroke at that time,
Yes, sir.
Diplomatic masterstroke. Because then we had somebody, because otherwise we were non-aligned. And Pakistan was very, very clearly aligned with Pakistan. There was no two ways about it.
Yes, sir.
And that's where the 7th Fleet came. Now there are rumors that, the Russians were also there and the Russians told the Americans to lay off or whatever.
Yes, sir.
That is all in the realm of, some records may be having the actual details, but we don't know.
Yes, sir.
We have heard that, yes, the Russian submarines are also hanging around there, and that's where the 7th Fleet turned back. Whatever the reason be, the 7th Fleet did not deter the Indian Navy from doing what it set out to do. So the Indian Navy covered itself with a lot of glory in 71 and really proved itself as a very important element of India's military capability.
But so you think if that treaty was not in place, things would have played out differently?
No, I don't think it would have been very different. I think it just gave us the reassurance that Russia had our back.
Okay.
I think that is to that extent. Because the equipment we had, maybe spares must have come easier. I don't know exactly how it panned out. But it's not that it would have made a difference of victory or defeat. I don't think it would have been that kind of difference.
So to end this segment, sir, just like the placement of Vikrant at Port Blair, was that an intelligence-based strategic call that was taken? Or was that just a coincidence that it was?
No, it wasn't a coincidence. A deliberate decision to keep her there. And she was not in good material shape. She had a boiler which was not working. All the repairs were being carried out. But it was a very conscious decision to keep her in Port Blair, not let her go to Vizag, because, common sense had it that, look, somebody will be waiting for her somewhere,
Yes.
So keep her away from being detected. as far as possible.
So like this session, like this, it was very short today with us, but it has been very great. We've covered a lot of geopolitical scenarios. We've understood how life is for a sailor, a mariner, and for an Indian Navy officer more than anything else, with the traditions that you've told us. So we here at Deployed by Aero Armor, we try to celebrate this feeling of valor, courage, passion for patriotism, and through clothing that we create, we try to distribute it amongst the country, because our mission is that every Indian should be proud of their heritage, because they should know about their heritage to be proud of it. And through this medium, we're trying to communicate that. So thank you so much for being a part of this mission, sir. It was great to have you in this podcast.
No, thank you very much for inviting me for this. And you certainly undertaken a very remarkable initiative. I wish you all the best. And I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of deployed T-shirts with, Indian
Yes, sir.
with Indian themes on them.
Yes, sir.
In the market and on people's, people wearing them. So I wish you all the very best in your endeavor. And I will look forward to that.
Thank you so much, sir. Jain, sir.
Jai.